Stories of mysterious disappearances always come in two types. Some are so strange that you cannot understand how they even happened, and some are darker and more terrifying than reality itself, where it's clear that someone was taken against their will. This story belongs to the latter category. Old, silent, and shrouded in the fog of time, yet it contains something that even now has never been fully understood. It was a cold evening in 1974. Mary Allen, a woman, arrived at her relative's house for a small family gathering. The house was old and wooden, lit by a single yellow bulb, while children sat on the floor playing. Outside, a light wind moved the curtains gently. Mary greeted everyone and took a seat, but soon her eyes fell upon a boy standing in the corner of the room. He looked about 9 years old. The moment their eyes met, Mary felt a strange sensation. A feeling she had avoided experiencing for many years. The boy had golden brown hair, deep eyes, and a smile, exactly like another child. A child who had been lost many years ago. Mary had given birth to a son in 1898. At the time, she and her husband, Thomas Allen, lived in a small town. Streets were unpaved, electricity was just reaching most homes. Their son was named Edward. But only a few days after his birth, a fire broke out in their home one night. People said a lamp had fallen, igniting the flames. After the fire, everyone was told the child was lost. Mary never truly accepted that. Now, decades later, at this old house during the family gathering, the boy standing there repeatedly reminded her of the child. He looked almost exactly the age Edward would have been, if he had survived. Suddenly, the boy smiled at Mary. In that instant, something shifted deep inside her. She knew it would seem strange, perhaps impossible, yet her heart told her there was something in this story that no one had ever known. After a while, the children moved upstairs to play. Mary followed slowly, climbing the old wooden stairs, which creaked faintly with each step as though awakening decades-old memories. Upstairs, the laughter of children floated through the rooms, but Mary felt a growing unease. At the door of one room, she paused. Inside stood the same boy. Other children sat on the floor playing with toys, yet he stood silently by the window, staring out. As if thinking of someone, or trying to remember something. Mary opened the door slowly. The boy turned to look at her. The same eyes, the same eerie recognition. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he slowly stepped closer. It was exactly the same moment as before, but now more uncanny. Mary softly asked, "What is your name?" The boy thought for a moment, as if trying to remember something before answering. "My name is Daniel." Her heart skipped another beat. Years ago, after the fire, a neighbor had claimed to see someone leaving the house through the back alley, and that person had been accompanied by a small child. No one had taken it seriously at the time. Mary collected herself and smiled. "And who are you here with?" The boy pointed toward the doorway. My mother." At that moment, a woman's voice came from below. "Daniel." Hearing it, the boy turned toward the voice, but before leaving, he glanced back at Mary, as if he knew her already. And that was the moment Mary realized that perhaps this story involved more than just one child. Looking out the window, she saw an old man standing by the street in front of the house. He looked exactly like a faded memory from the night of 1898. Strangely, the man immediately turned his face away, as if not wanting to be recognized. Footsteps began from below. Perhaps the woman Daniel called his mother was coming upstairs. Mary sensed that if she stayed even a few moments longer, she might hear something that had remained a secret for decades. She stood near the door, while the footsteps grew nearer. Daniel stood a few steps away, silently watching her, eyes deep and strange, stirring the storm in her heart once more. When the woman reached the top, she peeked through the doorway and smiled, but there was an artificial quality to that smile. Her name was Elizabeth Howard, known in town as quiet and reclusive. She called Daniel and told him everyone was waiting downstairs. Daniel paused, then slowly moved toward the door. Once again, he looked back at Mary, as if trying to understand why this woman seemed so familiar. Mary remained, memories flooding her mind. That night of 1898. The flames, the open window, and a shadow she had seen for a fleeting moment, once dismissed as a trick of her eyes. But now, decades later, that feeling returned. Later, Mary also came downstairs. People laughed and spoke as though nothing strange had occurred. But Mary's eyes repeatedly sought Daniel. Though he sat with other children, he would sometimes go silent, lost in deep thought. Her gaze shifted to the window. The same old man still stood at the street's edge. This time, he had moved closer. Time had marked his face, yet there was a strange recognition, as though he knew the house, perhaps Mary too. Mary's heartbeat raced. She remembered reports of someone wandering the town after the fire, seen by townsfolk, thought to be a traveler, but some claimed he repeatedly appeared near her home. And now, decades later, that same face had returned. At that moment, Daniel's laughter rang out, then fell silent. He stared for a few moments in the same direction as the old man. A question rose in Mary's mind. If this was not mere coincidence, what was behind it? After the gathering, people slowly left. Outside, the cold wind blew, streets grew silent. Mary glanced back at the house. Elizabeth stood by the door, Daniel behind her. Then she saw something that sparked another doubt. Along the back alley, the old man was walking slowly, as if waiting, or escaping. When he disappeared into the darkness, he looked back at the house for a moment. It felt as if he knew the story was not over. And in truth, it wasn't. Over the next few days, Mary began examining old town records. Old news articles, witness accounts, everything that had never fully emerged after the 1898 fire. The deeper she went, the more she realized this was no simple accident or disappearance. Someone had acted that night, and the secret had been hidden for decades. Now, seeing the same faces again, it felt as though the past was slowly returning, quietly, bringing with it truths that had never been heard. Night deepened, but the old street still breathed. Faint tram sounds in the distance, soft footsteps on wet roads, and amidst it all, Adam Carter felt that the past was far from over. From 1890 to 1980, the years unfolded before him like pages of an old diary. Adam pulled out the old paper he had found near the empty building's door. Yellowed with age, it bore only one name: Daniel Howard, and a date, 1976. Yet according to building records, the place had last been occupied in 1968. After that, it was thought empty, or so people believed. The boy with Adam, Alex, stood at the door, peeking inside. Around 12 years old, yet his eyes carried a strange maturity, as if he had seen far more than his age. "Mr. Adam," Alex whispered, "do you feel like someone's inside?" Adam didn't answer immediately, listening. Occasionally, the wooden floors creaked inside the building, as if someone walked, or the wind played with the old boards. But Adam knew, it wasn't just the wind. This town was full of strange stories. Since 1890, when the first factory was built here, people said something had existed on this land before. Something unrecorded in official documents. Then in 1924, an accident, then in 1953, sudden disappearances. Adam had researched this for years. And now, for the first time, he felt he was very close to the truth. "Alex," Adam said softly, "if anything feels strange inside, come out immediately." "Understood." Alex nodded, eyes still searching the darkness. The door opened slowly. Inside, the air was unusually cold. Old posters from the 1940s and 1950s still adorned the walls. Some areas had faded dates, some names barely visible. But on one wall were dozens of handwritten names. Adam approached. Various years were written: 1898, 1911, 1937, 1953, 1976. And with each year, a name. Adam's heart skipped a beat, because the newest name at the bottom seemed freshly written. Alex Martin. Adam looked at Alex. "Alex, did you write this?" Alex shook his head, startled. "No, this is my first time here." At that moment, footsteps sounded upstairs, definitely not the wind. Someone was coming down slowly. Adam remembered an old report from a 1980 newspaper. It mentioned people entering this building claiming to see their names on the walls, before they had even arrived. And then, they were never seen again. Adam lifted his eyes. In the darkness above, a shadow moved. Alex grabbed his arm. "There, someone is there." Adam's eyes focused. Indeed, a man stood there. Long coat, face hidden in the shadows. Then the man spoke slowly. "You're late." A chill ran through Adam. The voice matched a recording he had heard of someone who vanished in 1953. "Who are you?" Adam asked. Silence. Then the man stepped forward. The old light above flickered on. Adam's eyes widened. The face was exactly as in a 1937 photograph. The same man, the same age. Time seemed frozen upon him. Alex whispered, trembling, this isn't possible. The real shock had yet to come. From somewhere else inside, a door slammed with force. The building seemed alive, ancient mechanisms stirring. Then a voice echoed. Not from one room, not from one person, as if the building itself spoke. Not everyone has arrived yet. Adam asked, who? Who hasn't arrived? After a moment's pause, an old door at the far end of the hall slowly opened. Behind it was complete darkness, yet in that darkness, a faint light glimmered, as if from some day in 1890. Jonathan Reed looked at the door and said, "The real story has just begun." Adam realized, the building wasn't merely holding people, it was waiting. He stared at the open door, darkness inside unlike ordinary night. Layers of time seemed hidden within, as though a day from 1890 still lived there. Everyone in the hall fell silent. The old man who had appeared in the light stepped forward carefully, as if he knew every inch of the place. "This door doesn't open for everyone," Alex asked in surprise, "then why is it open now?" Jonathan Reed's gaze fixed on Adam. "Because the story is changing." Adam felt unease stir. He had studied old files, newspaper clippings, disappearance reports, always believing there was a secret behind them. But now, he felt the secret was watching him. From the hall's other corner, two more figures slowly emerged, a woman dressed as if from the 1920s, and a young man wearing a 1970s style jacket. Alex whispered, "They're from different times." Adam nodded. "Yes, that's what I've been trying to understand for years." Then he noticed subtle movement near the wall of names. Something had been freshly written. Adam approached. A new year appeared, 1980. Below it, an empty space. Adam's breath caught. This place still needs to be filled. Jonathan whispered, "Whenever this door opens, people arrive, and some truths are revealed." Alex asked, "And if someone steps inside?" A complete silence fell. Then the old man spoke. "Then they enter the part of time where it all began." Adam looked toward the door. Faint sounds drifted out. Distant conversations, horses' hooves, old factory machines. It truly felt like the world of 1890. Alex whispered, "Mr. Adam, do you hear that?" Adam nodded. At that moment, something strange happened. Lights flickered in the upper windows, one by one, as if the entire building was coming alive. Suddenly, Adam remembered. When the first factory was built in 1890, its owner was William Harper. Yet official records claimed he mysteriously disappeared even before the factory started. Adam asked Jonathan, was he here too? Jonathan didn't answer directly, only stared at the door. Then in a low voice said, "Some people don't come here, they are called." Fear and curiosity washed over Alex. Suddenly, footsteps approached from inside the door. This time, the sound was clear. Someone was coming. Everyone in the hall turned to the door. The air turned cold, as if the building was holding its breath. A shadow appeared in the darkness, slowly approaching the door. Adam's heart raced. He felt, somehow, that whoever was coming would change the entire story. And perhaps that was why the building had waited so many years. The shadow reached the doorway. Alex whispered, "Who is that?" As the figure stepped into the light, the names on the walls glowed faintly. The story was about to deepen, because the true secret had yet to fully reveal itself. The shadow entered the light, and all eyes in the hall fixed upon him. Time seemed paused, each breath waiting for an answer. First his shoes appeared, old leather shoes worn at the end of the 1800s. Then his coat, long, dust-covered. When his face appeared in the light, a shiver ran through Adam's spine. The man was not young, yet not old. His age seemed suspended between times. In his eyes was the same deep silence that ancient people carry, those who have seen much. He looked around at everyone. Then his gaze fell upon the names on the wall. Finally, he spoke softly. At last, Adam stepped forward. "Who are you?" The man paused, choosing words carefully. Then he said, "My name is Edward Harper." People in the hall looked at each other. Adam's mind immediately recalled the name from old historical records. 1890. Original factory owner, Edward Harper. Alex exclaimed, "But, you disappeared long ago." Edward smiled faintly, but the smile held no joy, only weariness. Jonathan Reed stood completely silent, seemingly awaiting this moment. Adam asked again, "Were you inside this door?" Edward nodded. "I was not just inside, I came from where it all began." At that moment, a soft resonance spread through the building. The dates written on the walls seemed to breathe. 1898, 1911, 1937, 1953, 1976. And now, 1980. Alex whispered, "Why does this building bring people from different times here?" Edward stepped to the center of the hall, scanning every face slowly. "Because this place is not merely a building." Adam asked, "Then what is it?" Edward replied softly, "It is a memory that does not end." The woman from the 1920s spoke for the first time. "When I came here, I was told the same. But at that time, only a few were present." The young man in the 1970s jacket said. "And when I arrived, the same happened. The door was open, and someone said, 'Not everyone has arrived yet.'" A realization dawned on Adam. "So it means, all of this is connected." Jonathan Reed nodded slightly. "Yes. Every era brings people here. But the true reason is still unknown." Alex's gaze shifted to the wall, and he suddenly gasped. "Mr. Adam." Adam turned quickly. Where 1980 was written, a new thing appeared. A map. It appeared to be the city, but old. Streets different, fewer buildings, and in the center, this building stood. Edward breathed deeply. "This map appears every time, when time draws near." Adam asked, "Near what?" Edward glanced at the far corner of the hall. Darkness there had grown deeper. Then, another door slowly appeared. It had not been there before. Alex whispered, "It's just appeared." Jonathan said softly, "No, it was always there. Not everyone can see it." Suddenly, the air turned cold. Somewhere inside, an old clock struck. 1, 2, 3. With each strike, the faces in the hall shifted. Some fearful, some hopeful, some silent as if witnessing a truth revealed. Adam felt the moment was approaching something monumental. Perhaps, this time, something would be different. Because beneath the names on the wall, another space appeared. Empty, still waiting for a name. At that moment, Alex felt as though his name was whispered from deep inside the building. A strange silence enveloped the hall. Adam steadied his heartbeat and stepped slowly toward the new door. The door was unlike any ordinary door, its surfaces from floor to ceiling seemed woven from layers of time. Edward Harper watched closely and said softly, "This door opens only for those who are part of the story of this time." Adam inhaled deeply. "And who are those people?" Alex whispered, "Perhaps, even us." Adam reached for the door. Suddenly, a soft light flickered in the hall. Within it, images, names, and tiny symbols from 1890 to 1980 shimmered together. Each name told a story, each picture revealed a secret of time. Jonathan Reed said slowly, "Every person who comes here leaves pieces of their life. Some of joy, some of pain, and some of mystery." Alex exhaled softly. "So this door is the door to the mysteries of time." Edward Harper nodded. "It is more, it is of memories, decisions, and moments that never end."